Good day, you charismatic carrots and cantaloupes. Welcome back to Mick. My name is Jack, the tea guy right there, and here are today's stories. We're dipping our fingers into multiple subreddits today. Some Am I the A-hole, some Today I Fricked Up, and some relationship advice stories. So, with that said, enjoy. Am I the a-hole for wearing black to my brother's wedding? So I'm an 18-year-old female, and I have an older brother who's 26, who got married this past weekend. He and his bride, a 25-year-old female, had a relatively small outdoor wedding, less than 100 guests. For whatever reason, they put on the invites that they wanted the guests to wear certain colors. Now, the invite said that the acceptable colors were fuchsia and sky blue. I asked my brother about it, and he said it was just something he and his fiancée wanted, and thought it would be fun to have a color-coordinated wedding. The problem I have with this is that I only wear black and white. I literally do not own any clothing that is not black, white, or a combination of the two. I do not own any clothes that are blue or bright pink. I told my brother about this long before the wedding, and he just told me that I have plenty of time to find something that will fit the color scheme. It was like he has no care for the fact that I don't wear those colors at all. I complained about it to my parents, and my mum offered to take me shopping to find something to wear, and she told me it was just one day and that wearing something a different color for a few hours is not going to kill me. Look, when we went shopping, I hated everything she made me try on, and she ended up just buying a couple of things in the two colors and brought them home. The morning of the wedding, I refused to put either thing on. I had brought my favorite black dress that was more than nice enough for any wedding and decided to wear that instead. Now, both my mum and dad told me to put on something else, but I refused, and eventually my parents just dropped it and told me they didn't want to fight about it anymore. We arrived at the venue early for pictures, and my mum ran off right away to find my brother. I assumed to warn him that I didn't adhere to his color scheme. So when we were doing family pictures, my brother made a point to tell me that I would not be involved in any of the larger group shots with the wedding party as the rest of our family. He told me that he's fine with me being in pictures with just our family, but that I would stand out too much in all of the other group shots because I was literally the only person who didn't wear their preferred colors. I knew this was probably his bride making the decision, and I called my brother out on it. He told me it was his wedding day and that he wasn't going to fight with me about it, and that was just the way it is. He told me he was disappointed that I couldn't do one little thing for him on his wedding day, and I told him that he was an a-hole for making people dress a certain way, even if they don't want to. Oh, yes, girl, you're so empowered saying no to your brother's wedding requests. I got a lot of weird looks from people during the ceremony and reception, and my brother and his wife pretty much avoided me completely the entire time. Even my parents kept their distance from me. I really don't think I did anything wrong because my brother's request was stupid from the beginning. I love these kind of stories where the OPs think they are so totally in the right about everything they did. Peanut Gallery goes, Yata! You threw a tantrum because you couldn't wear your favorite color. You drew attention to yourself because of your actions. Yeah, maybe if the mother didn't buy the dresses for you literally out of her own expense, then maybe it would be somewhat understandable if you couldn't adhere to the wedding requests. But no, instead you'd like to restrict your choices to a particular Michael Jackson song. That's the joke. Black or white, that's the joke. Next story! Am I the a-hole for losing it after my husband ate from the lasagna I prepared for my niece's birthday? My niece, 13's birthday was last Wednesday. She's the most intelligent, most creative kid in the family. She loves her aunties, me, lasagna, and says it's to die for. For her birthday, she asked that I make her lasagna because she loves it so much, and having it will complete her happy day. I agreed with no hesitation. The day before her birthday, I got to work. I went shopping for ingredients and spent hours in the kitchen to prepare it. At 3 p.m., my husband got home, had lunch, then opened the fridge to grab a drink and saw the lasagna. He asked about it, and I answered this lasagna was made for my niece's birthday. I told him I made family-sized portions so we could all eat together there at my parents' house. He was like, oh, really? I asked him to please not touch it, and he said he won't. He fell asleep on the couch after checking his phone as I went upstairs to get stuff done. At 4 p.m., I came downstairs to wake him up to go to my parents and found him already sitting up with the plate in hand. I looked closer and saw he took a piece of the lasagna and ate it.
No, Garfield, what have you done?
I looked at him and he asked, "Are you okay? You hungry?" while offering leftovers from his plate. Now I lost it on him and asked why he touched the lasagne when I already warned him against touching it since it was for my niece's party. Oh, but he eloquently retorted, woke up feeling hungry. Okay, but he already had lunch and other snacks available are in the fridge. He replied he really wanted to get a piece and couldn't wait until we got to my parents and reminded me that he loses his appetite at my parents' house. Well, that sounds like a you problem. I called him unbelievable because he ruined how the lasagne looked when he cut the middle of it and messed it up by a kid. I spent time, money, effort on it, and he casually said, "No big deal." But to me, it is especially, since I told him that this was for my niece's party. He said I was overreacting and needed to chill because he was hungry, and it's not like he ate the whole thing, and then suggested I stop by the supermarket and grab one if it's that important, as he quoted with his fingers. Man, I don't remember Garfield being such an a-hole in the comics. We got into an argument over this, and he ended up not going, saying it's 'cause of how he was treated over the lasagna. When I got home, he kept giving me the cold shoulder, didn't even ask how things went after what he did. Now we get to play a bit of typical AITA bingo. We come to the point that is rather typical in these AITA stories, where the OP starts to defend their partner by justifying that their actions are based on their disability of some kind or previous life experience. That definitely isn't just them trying to justify why she's still with this man. No, he's okay because he has ADHD! But normally he understands when I ask him to leave stuff alone. He also loves food, and his favorite is lasagne. While there was no harm with him taking a piece, I just lost my temper, which is a bad thing. Of course, how could we be so foolish to accuse Yata here? Everyone knows that ADHD makes you completely incapable of understanding anyone's sort of requests, especially when it comes to respecting your partner's wishes. You go ahead and keep justifying yourself as to why you tolerate this man, OP. You're married to him now. You're basically in the long game. Next story. Am I the a-hole for going too far with my punishment? My daughter is 13 now, and she loves TikTok. She'd be on it 24/7 if I didn't make sure she did other stuff with her life. Up until now, it's been annoying for me and my husband, but bearable. I feel like this is partially our fault, as we are big pranksters. However, the pranks we do are harmless, like waking someone up and telling them they're a little late, when they're actually right on time, then revealing it 5 minutes later. Or making an extra portion of food for them and then doing the salt bottle prank. We've always thought we've instilled these values into our kids to make sure they always have everyone laughing at the end. Now recently, our daughter shattered all our rules by pranking my 17-year-old son. Whilst my son was asleep, she walked into his room with his electric razor and shaved off a massive part of his hair. Now, he was angry and immediately went into the bathroom to see the damage, where she came up behind him and shaved a large part of the back of his hair. She'd set up a camera in the bathroom, and I looked at the video. She was giggling and having a grand time whilst doing it. Now, to him, his hair is a sensitive topic, as a couple of years ago, he had pretty bad hair, by his standards, and over the past couple of months, he has started to get his hair looking good and feeling happy with it. He puts a lot of effort into his hair, and was devastated when this happened. Now, he was obviously devastated and didn't want to go to school for the upcoming year. This year was pretty much the last year he'd have to be a teenager, because after this, he wants to go to med school, and it'll be high stress for the next 10 years. Now, to him, his year is ruined. My daughter was saying, "It's just hair, you're not even a girl, get over it," which made me furious. Me and my husband discussed, and we decided that she knew exactly what she was doing, and she deserved to be massively punished. So we're taking away her phone and giving her a Nokia, We're also going to be taking away her laptop and only giving it back to work on homework. We've decided to block all websites other than Google Drive and her school website. If she needs to look something up, she can ask us. We're also going to be grounding her for the next year as well, or until his hair grows back and looks as good as it did to him. We're doing this because we want her to realize the damage is not over with a simple apology, and his year has been ruined and his mental health may well be down the toilet. Her aunt, my sister, who has always favored her in my opinion, is completely on her side, saying it's just a joke and it was funny, and we need to give her a small punishment only. I feel like her punishment is deserved, but now I'm not so sure, and maybe I'm being too harsh. Taking a 13-year-old's phone and contact with friends away? Am I the a-hole? Survey says, Nata, you're trying to teach her a little empathy and that her actions have consequences. A year seems like a little much, but I think it's fine to start that way and then let her off on parole if things improve. You're the a-hole. Not for punishment though, but for how you've treated and raised your kids. Now, look, pranks are not funny. They're just another way to bully someone and have a laugh at their misery, no matter how light you claim to make said prank. And now you've taught your kids to do this to people as well. And being kids, they're not going to have the near intelligence to know when they've gone way over the line. Yeah, wow, did you all read the same thing I read? What the kid did was stupid and horrible, but grounding for a year? Taking away phone and laptop and blocking all sites other than Google Drive, this is extremely excessive. She's 13. My God, everyone sucks here. Like, she's not allowed to socialize at all for a year. Do you know how damaging that's going to be developmentally? You think she's immature now? Wait till she doesn't develop needed, appropriate social skills because you banned her from socializing for a year. I firstly want to say props to you for not letting your daughter get away with any sort of excuses just because of her immature age. But also, I kind of have to agree with that last comment. This kid is about to reach her more formative years of maturity and growth. At least some of the most important so far. I feel like you need to take a much more tactical approach to the punishment here, as I feel like the only self-reflection she'll be making in this moment is how terrible you two are as parents towards her, and it's gonna make her older teen years become even much more of a drag for you both to deal with. All I'll say is that I also agree with the idea of some sort of parole. Make sure she's getting some sort of reward for her fixed behavior. But also, I mean, come on, what were you going to expect from your child who isn't as experienced as you in life to have attempted such a dastardly prank? It's like raising your kids around guns, then putting on a Pikachu face when you see them using one without your permission and recklessly. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I abandoned this girl and my future child? A bit of context, I'm a 24-year-old female, and I've been seeing this girl who's 22 for about half a year now. We are not in a relationship. I definitely don't want children. She isn't adverse to having children, but definitely doesn't want some with someone she's not in a relationship with either. She takes birth control, so generally, we're on the same wavelength. However, she got really wasted like 2 to 3 weeks ago and it was a disaster. She puked everywhere, etc. I was especially ticked off because I knew what this could cause when you're on birth control and I already told her to slow it down, took her drinks and so on and so forth. But then she didn't have her period. We did a test and she was pregnant. I immediately told her to abort it, but she wants to have it. I don't want anything to do with this. It's her fault the birth control failed and I tried to get her to stop drinking, but people kept pouring for her and she kept drinking. I want no part of the child and I don't really care for either of them locking me in place. Now, would I be the a-hole if I just hit the road and never looked back? Now, before we jump down his throat with an immediate yatta here, let's consider the fact that, hey, as long as he was using a condom himself, technically he was doing his part to ensure there was no pregnancy, so you can't really throw this onto him too much. Oh, no, never mind. This is a quote from one of his comments. God damn it, man. Now, part of me wanted to slam the stupidity of this dude for sleeping with a woman who was clearly overly intoxicated and thus have a risk of their birth control pill not properly working based on his own statistical beliefs. But he does mention that they had coitus before the alcohol was taking an effect. So Frick me, God, at least he has that degree of moral responsibility. But also, future mum, what the hell are you doing being with a guy who clearly has this mindset? By the way, alcohol affecting birth control? Total BS. Simple Google fixes that mindset. But at the end of the day, part of me still says, yes, leave, flee, do not be a part of this kid's life. You clearly will be such a bad influence on it. You are far too selfish and immature to be a parent that is considered respected. So be free, little man, be free. Also, go get a vasectomy because you clearly need one. Next story is a great little frick up. Today I fricked up by getting my girlfriend a going away present. Now, a little backstory. Both me and my girlfriend are in college and aren't going to see each other for the summer. Today is my last day in the city, and she's also going back to her home country for around a month. So, when I woke up this morning, she was at work, so I decided I want to surprise her with a photo of us displayed in a nice frame. I had it all planned out. I'd quickly go into town to one of those photo machines you plug your phone into, print out a few photos from my phone, and then grab a frame. So that's exactly what I did. However, I couldn't get this stupid machine to work. I had to call over the nice old lady who worked at the store. It was a pharmacy, and she couldn't figure out the machine either. So she called over a younger guy around my age, and we finally got it. They helped me set up and connect my phone to the machine, and guided me through everything I needed to do on the machine, which was nice of them. These machines looked pretty old though. It took like 15 to 20 seconds to do anything. Now, what I didn't know was that the machine pulls up all of your most recent photos on your camera roll on its huge screen, so you can select which ones to print out. Maybe the last 9 or so pictures on your camera roll could be seen on the machine screen. And guess who had loads of nude pictures from a night of goodbye kinky times? Yeah, me. And not just nudes though, but really close-up pics of my girlfriend's vac and me doing stuff to her, us making out, me fingering her, photos of me pulling her what apart. Yeah, a whole lot of private stuff that I had to put in the hidden area on my iPhone's photo album. I guess the machine didn't know it was all hidden and just decided to put it all up. Oh my god, Apple, what is the point of a hidden album feature if it doesn't even hide the albums? Since the lady and the guy were guiding me through everything, they saw everything. The first photo loaded onto the screen and I saw what it was, so I immediately grabbed my phone and unplugged it from the machine. But the damage was already done. Because as soon as the first picture loaded, the next one just started to appear on the screen, and then the next one, and the next one, until the whole screen was full of all our nudes and porn. I tried to block the screen from them both and muttered something like, well, Schmidt, that's embarrassing. Yeah, what do you even say at a time like that? But they both saw, and the lady just says,
Oh, well, maybe we'll just come back later.
Needless to say, they both went away pretty quick after that, and I didn't make an eye contact with them. What's even worse, though, was I still couldn't get the machine to work still. After all that, so after making sure all those pictures were gone from my camera roll, I called over another girl who didn't see what happened, who worked there to help with the machine. She couldn't do it either, so of course, she called over the same two from before. And after exchanging some weird looks to me, they helped me get the actual pictures I wanted. Well, that's one pharmacy I can't ever go back to now. Luckily, my girlfriend found it all funny when I got home, and she liked the picture I got her of both of us. Well, I guess it's fair to say you left that store with one gaping memory. No buts about it. Guess they'll be a bit more anal about those machines now.
They saw your girlfriend's bumhole.
Next story is from Relationship Advice. I, a female, 26 years old, saw this text on my husband, a 34-year-old male's phone, and I can't seem to get it out of my mind. I have been thinking about this situation that occurred a week ago and can't help but feel conflicted and unable to get my mind off of it. Last Monday, my husband got home from work at 4 p.m. He had lunch and napped for an hour or so, leaving his phone charging. He asked me to unplug the charger when his phone battery was at full, and I said, okay. The phone was charging in the living room, on top of the coffee table. Once the battery was full, I unplugged the charger, and my eye couldn't help but catch a text message that was in front of the screen that said, "And the bed feels so cold right now." I was so confused. It looked like half a sentence that was really strange. Out of curiosity, I opened it, and there were no previous messages, nor any messages my husband sent to this number, which didn't have a name. It didn't make any sense to me. I wanted to get a screenshot of it, then put it in my phone to get a better look at it, but my husband showed up all of a sudden from behind. He saw my face and asked if I was okay. I handed him his phone and asked him about the text that he received. He looked at his phone screen for a second and made a face saying someone must have sent it to him by mistake. He seemed pretty normal when he said this, then casually started talking about dinner. We talked a bit, then once I went into the kitchen, he stepped out on the porch with his phone in hand. I watched him, and he stayed outside for a couple of minutes talking to someone on the phone. Once he got back inside, I asked him who he was talking to, and he said he was talking to his friend Joey about their plans for the weekend with the guys. Then he went upstairs to check on his computer. I don't know what I felt, but I couldn't help but think there was something he wasn't telling me about the person who sent that text. I never spoke to him about it again, but I made the mistake of venting to my friend, who guaranteed something was off, and advised me to not let this go and to try to dig deeper and ask my husband more questions about it. I brought up the text to him again, asking if he was able to find out who that number belonged to days later, and he was shocked that I still remember it and still am thinking about it. He got mad at me and insisted he knew nothing about it and told me to forget about it because really, it was nothing, and it was not okay with me bringing it up like that. I decided not to bring it up again, seeing how upset he got.
What are you doing? That is exactly why you should bring it up again.
Now, it's been a week and it's still on my mind. I might be overreacting, but I can't help but get this awful feeling that something is not right. Comments say, such a weird fragment to be sent from a random unknown number. Seems like they were having a conversation. He deleted the thread, and the person on the other end sent another text after the fact. Ooh, and so the plot thickens. On the other side of the fence, though, I feel I need to counter the usual red flag tribe here, which will probably get me a downvote or several. If he was being truly secretive, would he really leave his phone out for you to see and ask you to unplug it once it was fully charged, knowing that you're likely to see any messages that come up on the screen? Just a thought. Reasonable, but does also explain why he suddenly appeared behind her the moment she was pulling out the phone from the charger. Surely if he was coming across that way, maybe, he wouldn't have asked her to do it in the first place. Almost like as if he remembered what was on his phone or possibly going to appear on his phone and raced on over before she could get any too much more of a glance. Anyway, next story is based on an update, and we'll read the original for now. Am I the a-hole for lying to my parents about my sister's love life? My parents are rich and conservative. My sister and her long-term boyfriend were dating for a long time, but they were resistant to getting married. My parents really wanted her to get married as quickly as possible. They offered them a down payment for a house as a wedding gift. It was a lot of money, and I think they needed it. They agreed and got married about 3 years ago. Now, they moved to the city I was staying in and bought a nice house. The weird thing was that their roommate from before also moved with them, and they let a room in their house for her too. I don't know the exact details about their relationship, but from what I can see, it's obvious that all three of them are involved. They have one photo of the wedding, and the rest is of all three of them together. It was none of my business, but my sister and her husband seemed happy, and well, it is none of my business anyway. Well, my mum found out about this somehow. She is furious at my sister. She thinks she is sinning, and she has patricianly disowned my sister. She is also angry with me, as she knows I am close to my sister and visited her often. They had their suspicions for a long time, and she had asked me vaguely about it before. I don't know why my mother was suspicious, but yeah, I lied and pretended that they didn't have the roommate. My mother feels like my sister ripped them off and lied to them, as she feels like her marriage was a sham. She is angry with me for abetting my sister and lying to her. It was a ton of money, even for them, so I understand some of their anger, but I have mostly been able to stay civil with my parents. Now, I hate lying and actively lied to them about it. I feel like they are in the wrong here, but none of us come out looking really good. I also feel like technically they paid her to get married, and she did, but it is the kind of argument my dad would use, so I know I am an a-hole here. So the update. All of the Natal comments helped me soothe my heart about the guilt I felt about lying to my parents. My mother said that both of us were not invited to Thanksgiving anymore. Okay, I finally got the opportunity to talk to my sister yesterday. All three of them were in a relationship. I told her that I was cool with it, and I had known for a long time. I asked her about the money, and she told me that Dad and Mum had ambushed them during a dinner and then asked them to decide before the dinner was finished. I'm pretty fricked up, but typical from Dad. I think they thought my sister and her boyfriend would stop sinning if they got married. My sister still sounds bitter about it. They are planning to hold a very small marriage with all three of them, and forget about the schmitty wedding my parents paid them to have. They are planning to do it next year when they hit the 10th anniversary of their relationship. My parents are probably going to cut me off too, but at this point, I really don't need their money, and that is the only thing of value they can offer. I am just happy for my sister and her partners. Yeah, look, originally I was suspicious of the innocence of your sister for accepting all that money to get married with her partner when she knew well herself that it was going to be due to a circumstance that the mother was not going to agree to fund. But this update clearly exposes that there was a lot of pressure involved that didn't really allow them to have a proper time to think about it. But then again too, you guys are adults. You should easily be able to just say no, or at least even afterwards say, hey, we changed our minds, no. But also, I'm not excusing the parents' stupidity here. I mean, what kind of mindset is forcing your kids to get married via, I guess, financial promises? Like what, that's gonna fix any issues they're currently having with their relationship that's making them hesitant to get married in the first place? Next story. I'm a 30-year-old male, and I called out my wife, a 31-year-old female, over her treatment of our daughter, who is 4. So my family and I went on a trip with our other family for a week. During this time, our daughter acted out a number of times since, she's 4, and it is a new place with kids and such. My wife was frequently losing her temper with our daughter, and at one point, it devolved into calling our daughter an idiot and a little bitch. This isn't the first time she has done this. She has a habit of yelling and punishing her to take out anger on our daughter. We fought about this, and I told her that if I heard her name-calling our daughter or taking her anger out on her, that I'd kick her out of the house. That she's 4 and doesn't deserve that treatment, and it is affecting her. At first, she said, "Well, take her then if that's what you want." Then went to, "Please don't take her," to eventually, "I'll take her from you." I told her she can't just take her from me, that I have a right to my daughter. But she also at one point told me that if I walk out the door at that moment, and wasn't planning to, I better take all the knives with me or she'd hurt herself. She's never been someone to self-harm. She tried to blame how she acts with our daughter because that's how she was raised. But I told her that doesn't make it okay, and that we should try to do better than that, or our daughter is going to grow up with issues. I also called her out for things she said to me over the years, like I'm fat, ugly, that no one would put up with my bull smack, etc. That it's not fair she blew through $200,000 in the time we've been together while refusing to work, and did things in a way that I couldn't save anything. That it's insane. She once said, "I don't want you having access to any large amount of money or you'd leave me." Previously, about 3 months ago, I got an audio recording of her yelling at our daughter, telling her to go to her room or she would drag her up the stairs by her braids. I did record this conversation as well. I'm getting in the habit of doing it, just in case, So, I guess my ask is, does this sound like her manipulating? Is she gaslighting? Is she abusing the two of us? What are my options here? Sir, allow me to answer that for you by quoting a certain scene from the movie When Harry Met Sally.
Yes! 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 Oh, God, yes!
I will definitely not have what you are having. It is so clear these are signs of abuse. I don't even know what else to say to you. Some people trying to defend the wife by maybe suggesting she has mental health issues that she needs help with, but I agree with some responses that not every abuser has a mental health problem, just like not everyone who has a mental health problem is an abuser. She's a grown adult. She has the responsibility to be more self-aware of her own actions and behavior, especially as a parent. Now with that said, I'm gonna end today's video here. I hope you had some fun today and enjoyed all the ramblings we had together. Any comments I made that leave you seething with rage and disagreement, feel free to leave down below your thoughts. I do like to read and ponder through them. For now, you succulent sentient sausage, make sure you like this video, otherwise I will come for your throat, and not in the kinky way. So make sure you do your dues and show your respect for my work. You know, like how I just take other people's stories online and then read it all out loud so you can just watch it on YouTube instead of looking it up on the website. Yeah, that thing that I put so much effort into. Anyway, my name's been Jack. You have been a lovely person today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.